Hey guys, today I want to talk with you about a life calendar. Now before I try and attempt to explain what this thing looks like without actually showing it to you, let's just go ahead and take a look at one. So this is my life calendar. Alright, so as you can see when you zoom in, we have the months across the top there. There's 52 squares across, one for each week of the year. And we have the years down the side. 52 columns across, 70 rows down. And I chose 70 basically because it fits well on A3 and because I feel like that's a pretty good estimate for the years that I'll be alive, at least the years where I'll be most active as well. Of course, if I live longer, I won't be complaining. But as you can see, I probably have to fix that up because there are some major air bubbles. So, damn. Anyway, that's what it looks like. So basically, what you can see from this quite clearly is that a life calendar is a big picture perspective of your life on this earth, and all the years and weeks that you have lived, and the years and weeks that you theoretically could have left if you live to about 70 years old. What's the value of a life calendar? Well, several things. There's an emotional impact, both in the creation process and along the journey, the lifelong journey of having one. And these emotional impacts over the long run just crop up randomly. And I'll talk more about what kinds of emotional impacts in a second. Another reason you want a life calendar is because it's an easy, powerful, positive habit. If you're the sort of person that likes having a mission in life, having goals that you know you're going after, or just that subtle sense of control, that sense that you've faced the fleeting nature of your life and that you've accepted it and internalized it, and that at least some part of you is keeping track of how much life you have left. And that gives you this sense of at least subtle empowerment. And that's a really positive thing. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing after you set it up is colouring in one square a week, every Sunday or whatever day you choose. And every week that goes by, especially when you're in a bit of a downward spiral in your life and there's not much you're very proud of, and maybe you're even feeling like you're procrastinating and lazy and disappointed in yourself, or just facing emotional challenges, sometimes colouring in that square can just get you by. And thirdly, the creative process is another valuable reason for having this. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's funny, as you print out the sheet, as you get out your textures, you choose your colours and you start shading it in, something happens. You start reflecting about your life. You start engaging in this sense of self-discovery, and you start just actually creating. And if you're not a highly creative person, it's great to get back in touch with this whole thing. It's like a miniature arts and crafts project that you're working on, but with this element of reflection, and memories bubble up, and themes and patterns in your life also crop up, and you just don't know what's really going to emerge in this process of setting up your life calendar. And I tend to find that it's a very cathartic yet positive process. So who is a life calendar really for? Well, three broad groups. Group one are those of you who identify with being in a little bit of a rut in life, a flat line. Maybe you're working a job and you're not that engaged in it, you're sort of plodding along and you feel like the weeks and months of your life are bleeding through and blending together, and you're sort of feel like you're trying to grasp at water. You're not really sure where to begin and you're not really sure what's missing, but you just lack that engagement that you ideally know you want. You intuit you want a little bit more control back in your life. And maybe even you don't really know what a vision is, what a big picture perspective is. You hear people talking about how leaders have vision, the importance of visioneering and envisioning and all these words, but you don't know the faintest idea about how to just take step 1A on that process. And this can be a really good starting point for those of you that want to create this so-called vision, which actually is highly powerful, but sometimes it just takes a first step. And just more basic goals. You want to see something that's motivating for your fitness goals. Maybe you want to lose weight or gain weight if you're gaining muscle, as I know that I've sometimes tried to do in the past. Or relationship goals. Maybe you're wanting to find that perfect partner and you want to set about a chunk of your life. Sort of really get a sense of the window of your life you're dedicating it, and you're going to go out there and own it. So basically, these are the sorts of exciting aspects that those of you who are a little bit flat and disenchanted about life, you can create this excitement, this sense of seeing the time you have on this earth, getting that engagement back in by setting out windows, setting goals to these windows. By windows I mean the little small squares. And just seeing, like, really, it doesn't take long. Half of one line and you can completely transform your physical fitness. Or in just 2 lines, you could set up your dream business. And it's just encouraging to see that in a very visual way, if you're that kind of person. But you remember how I said that it creates an emotional impact? Well, that would be an example of the sort of positive emotional jolts that you can get out of this creation of a life calendar. But then there's also a jolt in a sort of negative way. Now, stay with me here, it's not going to shock the life out of you, but it can really be revealing to see, I've lived this amount of time and I've got this amount of time left. What am I sort of doing with my life? And it can kind of jump you back into action, but more out of a negative motivation. The reality is that not all of us are on absolute track with our life, and sometimes just a jolt in the right direction, sort of being thrown into some cold water and being forced to start swimming around, this can be that jolt. And yes, it's a little bit painful to go through at the start. I'm not denying that. I'm not trying to sugarcoat this for you. It can be an emotional process to look at your life from this big lens, this broad lens. But it reminds me of a friend I had. The process reminds me of this friend that I had from childhood. And when we were young, when we were about 5 to 10 years old, my family always used to have really tasty, sugary cereals. The ones that are chocolatey and rainbow coloured that you can eat in about 2 seconds because it's so delicious. And he used to come over and he used to love that and just could not get enough of these cereals. And when we used to go over to his house, we'd wake up and we'd have to have bran, like horse bran food with brown sugar. And I used to think, oh, this is so bland and oh, it's so healthy, I don't want this. And fast forward 15, almost 20 years now, that bad tasting healthy food, which is kind of equivalent to this sort of facing your life on a big picture perspective and dealing with whatever emotions come up. It's the equivalent of having this healthy cereal early as possible. And then, of course, as time passed on, I started to see the value of eating healthily, but I didn't have the habits ingrained as solidly as my friend had. And over the long run, he started to see the value of what his parents were doing, and he was forever grateful that he faced that early on. So hopefully you can see how that relates to this process. So who else is this life calendar valuable for? Well, those who are dealing with challenges and crises right now, right here and now. They're not necessarily in a lull, but they're so engaged, they're stressed out, they're burnt out, and they're facing emotional turmoil with some kind of challenge in life. And you just need to separate yourself out from your problem. Carve out a window of time on a weekend in a quiet place and just want to gain some clarity and reset yourself so you can move forward. So who am I talking about? Well, maybe you've just dealt with a breakup. Maybe you're at your job and you're working on a project that there's a deadline for, and you're very stressed out by your boss putting pressure on you and all these work responsibilities you have. Or maybe you're in school or university and college and you've got a lot of assignments and exam study coming up, and you just feel so snowed under by all that. Or maybe it's a challenging person and you're dealing with someone that's really toxifying your life, and you feel like they're bringing you down and you don't know what the first step can be to taking more power and control back over your life in a positive way. So if you're in one of these situations, basically creating this calendar, carving out the time to create this calendar, can give you hope. It can help you see life from this big picture, and all of a sudden you just realize that this too will pass, and eventually your whole life will pass by you. And really, just like the challenges that you faced before, when you look back at them, they're gone. They're a distant memory. And now you're in this challenge here, but this too will pass. And that you connect to the silly, fleeting, big picture nature of life. And it grounds you back in what's important. Grounds you in that and detaches you from this current problem. And it can help you see that you've got lots of life left. As I mentioned before, it really doesn't take that many squares on the page to really make a big shift, a big change in your life. Even though you're facing these challenges now, there is so much hope for you no matter what age or situation you're currently in. Who else is it valuable for? Well, those that are growth-oriented, those that, whether out of desperation or a place of abundance, just want more positive tools in their life. Maybe you're working on something, a creative project at your job or at home, or a fitness goal, or you're going out there and you're in the dating scene, you're trying to find that perfect partner, or you're just doing anything to better your life and keep actualizing your full potential, and you just want another positive tool, adding it to the list to really give you that higher consciousness connection to what's most important in life and your mission in life. And as I said, maybe it's out of a place of lack and desperation. That's okay too. As in, maybe you just want any tool because you just want as much valuable resources as you can. Now, this connection to the higher consciousness, big picture perspective of life is my favorite aspect of this. I love the emotions that this stirs within me. It's sort of an inspiring, motivating feeling that I have this one life and I know what's important. It can really just help your fears of what other people think of you melt away, and it can get you to just taking action when you put it off and put it off. But you can see that last square on that piece of paper, when you're lying on that deathbed and there's no more life left in you, and you're looking back to this square that you're on right now, you know that the only things that matter are the steps that your authentic self, your higher self would take right now. And that's a powerful insight that you can get from this calendar. Now, I've been keeping mine for between about 5 months. I just colour in a square, but then every week I coloured in a square. I would realise that the challenges I'm facing, the inner challenges mostly, of pushing my comfort zone, expanding myself towards my goals and full potential, really that each square that passed by prompted me more and more to just do it, to get over myself in a sense, as much as these challenges really are challenging as you're going through them. And that's even what's helped me get to this point where I'm filming videos and releasing them, is that I really felt that I wanted to express myself, my views and insights, really help make a positive difference in other people's lives. And in part, I can say it was due to keeping this tool and looking at this calendar every day, just keeping that in the background of my life, and as a subtle reminder that time is ticking. And of course, when you get back on track with your goals through any tool that you can, any great book or great resource or mentor or coach, anything like that. When you finally get back on track and you overcome that challenges, of course, you're so thankful that you set it up in your life. So basically, I've got a link below. It's absolutely free. I've got a Pages document template and a Word document template that are on Google Drive. Feel free to download them, change the dates to suit your life, whatever year you were born in, and the years along the side, and print it out in A3, frame it if you like, fill it in with whatever colours you like, and I hope it really adds some positive value to your life. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be releasing more videos on really practical personal development topics and also just general inspiring ideas about life, because I truly love the idea of making the most of my life and realizing my full potential and really contributing something positive back to mankind, back to my fellow human beings. So if you like the sound of that and you enjoyed this video today, I would really love it if you'd like the video, share it, and subscribe. Thank you.